Right. We're looking at computer specification as one of the topics in your syllabus. And for computer specification, you need to be familiar with how to interpret hardware specification of a computer system. Imagine that you're going to purchase or you are reviewing the thought of getting a computer, or you're going to review computers that is to be purchased. You would like to look at the specification, to look at what is inside of these computers. You have to be able to assess the details of the devices before you can make a particular purchase. So one of the things you have to do, you must be able to interpret specification. For your computers, normally once you go into the accessories, normally on your computer you can go into settings or accessories, and you can view the specification of the devices on your computer. So like right now, if I share with you my specification, I see my display specification. I can look at my storage specification. So I can look at the specification inside of my devices or about my entire computer, and I can get an idea of what is inside of this computer. On my screen, I can tell it's the HP Pavilion 360 convertible. It has Windows 10. It's using Windows 10 Home Edition. I know about the processor, Intel Core i5 2.3 gigahertz processor. How much RAM is in the computer? 8 gigabytes. Operating system is there of a 64-bit, which is word size. It has pen and touch support, whatever. And I'm looking at the specification of the computer. So what we need to look at is to understand the whole role of computer specification inside a computer. And we must be able to interpret the specification. We must be able to interpret. And that is to be able to understand why is the specification the way it is. And this topic I don't think is in most of the textbooks. So it's something that you have to look at reading and interpreting. So I sent you an email, and the email has the documents I'm using. So check your email, these are the documents that I am using. Now in terms of specification, we are looking at the CPU type and the CPU speed. We have to interpret the specification of computers. We do this by interpreting information that is available. So we do this by interpreting information that is readily available. Whatever measurement is given to you. So if we're looking at this document, which I didn't send you, if we're looking at this document, we're looking at the type of CPU inside of it and the speed of the CPU. The type of the CPU is normally tied to the manufacturer of the computer, the manufacturer of the processor. So in this case, we're using an Intel Core, which is a type, the manufacturer is Intel, the type of CPU is Core, and we're using a particular core processor like an i5 processor. But we have different kind of Intel. We have Intel Celeron. We have another kind of CPU. We have AMD Athlon. You have Intel Pro, Intel Dual Core. You have the manufacturer's number, the name of the product. And then within that manufacturer brand, we will have different types or different series of the computer. If you're looking at the CPU speed, the CPU speed is always measured in hertz. So the CPU speed is always measured in hertz, which is HERTZ. So anywhere where you see CPU information, it will tell you how many hertz are inside of it. Now the hertz tell you how fast the CPU will work. So you might see at 2.4 gigahertz, it means that it's going to process 2.4 billion instructions per second. That is very fast. That's the CPU type. Intel, AMD, you have other brands, and then the subtype would have been what kind of Intel it is. So you have Pentium 1, Pentium 2, P3, P4, P5, P6. You have Intel Celeron. You have different brands, different type within the same brand of CPU. And the speed tells you how many machine cycles per second in terms of the hertz, HERTZ. So you can measure in megahertz or gigahertz, but today most CPU standard comes in gigahertz and megahertz. Also important is to look at the memory capacity. Now, by way of memory, the more memory your computer have and the faster your CPU is the faster it's going to work. So if your machine don't have enough memory, then don't expect it to work fast, because the memory will determine how fast your CPU can carry out the instruction processing and how large is that storage space in which it will be holding information that will be currently be used by the CPU. So memory is extremely important. The size of the memory is important because to determine how much information you can store. And that's a very important thing for you to understand, how much memory is inside your computer. So in this case, we're looking at one with a 4 gigabyte memory. And normally your RAM memory is larger than your ROM memory. Your ROM can be like 8 megabytes. It won't be very large, because the instructions for ROM are not as big as, instruction for ROM is not as big as the instruction for use in RAM, because RAM normally is larger than a ROM. But again, if you have a CPU with a speed above 1.6 gigahertz to about 2.4, 2.3, then you need somewhere about 4 or 8 gigabytes of random access memory. You might only need 8 megabytes of ROM. But if the speed of the CPU is higher than 2.2, 2.3, you might need like 16 gigabytes. The more gigs of RAM you have, and the faster your CPU is processing, you're going to need more space to store that information. So your memory is very important as it relates to the speed at which your computer works. So the memory capacity is measured in terms of memory capacity. We measure memory capacity in terms of how many megabytes, how many gigabytes, how many bytes of data can it hold. We have our type of memory. So within random access memory, you will have memory such as DRAM, dynamic random access memory. You have SD-RAM. You will have different types of RAM. And for this exercise, you don't need to go into too much detail. You just understand what type of RAM it is. Is it a DRAM, SD-RAM? I can't remember anymore, but you will look at, when you look at specification, you will see. We'll go to it shortly. And then the word size normally tells you how many bits or how many bytes. 64-bit memory will tell you exactly how much memory information that the computer is using. So if we look at our computer specification, inside the memory, where the memory is, it normally gives you a little information about the bit size. How many bits will it be processing? Like 64-bit. It's normally within the memory, with the memory information, or sometimes can come on the CPU information, which you're going to see. We'll look at different specification shortly. So we have the memory capacity, word size, and speed. Sometimes memory itself can carry a speed of how fast the instruction that is stored can be accessed. So with the memory information, you might see a megahertz measurement or a gigahertz measurement next to it. That is really the speed of the memory. If you look at our hard drive is spoken about as the main storage area inside of the computer where instructions are being stored. Your hard drive is very, very important because the size of your hard drive is critical to the operation of the computer. So larger hard drives will store larger information, can store a large amount of information than a smaller hard drive. So you need to ensure that sometimes you have the right size hard drive inside of your computer. Now, your hard drive speed is normally measured in gigabytes, again in bytes. Any storage capacity is measured in bytes. So your hard drive is measured in bytes. So you might see 1 terabyte hard drive or a 2 terabyte hard drive. You might see a 500 gigabyte hard drive. So, hard drive storage capacity is measured in bytes. But then, apart from understanding the capacity, is to look at the speed of your hard drive. And the speed of the hard drive determines how fast the hard drive can rotate when retrieving data or when operating for the purpose of storing data. So your hard drive speed, we're talking about the REM, which is the revolution per minute. So every time your hard drive spins, how many times will it spin per minute? So some hard drive have a 7,200 RPM or 6,004 RPM. It's talking about the rotation of the hard drive. The faster it spins, the faster it accesses information. And then we have to look at hard drive in terms of its connection. So hard drive have 3 types of connection basically. We have SATA, IDE, and SCSI. You can go in Google. You can go in Google. You can go and Google SATA connection for hard drive. So you can actually see what is it SATA connection looks like. So in your hard drive, you have your SATA connection, or they connect your hard drive to your motherboard. They are more broad tips, so these are SATA hard drives. And then apart from SATA, we have IDE. We have IDE connection. And IDE cables varies. We have IDE, and the smallest ones you have are called SCSI. SCSI. SCSIs are much more smaller cable that connects hard drives to the motherboard. You have different cabling inside of the computer. So if we look at our connectivity, the hard drive have various connections, and again, the connection can determine the speed of data transfer. We look at things like FireWire, and FireWire is a type of connection that allows for high-speed connection data ports. They have FireWire. So FireWire connection, it is used for high-speed transmission between devices. Like digital recorders, camcorders, external hard drives are connected by using a FireWire connection, which allows for more faster connectivity of data to move between the device and the computer itself. So you have FireWire ports or FireWire connection of hard drives. And then we have what are called expansion slots. And of course, you realize if you open your computer sometimes, you will see some blank areas inside of them. You will see some blank area. An expansion slot is a place inside of a computer to which a new device or a new expansion board can be placed. So it's a place in a computer where an expansion card can be inserted. So the expansion card gives your computers additional functionalities. So like if you open the machine, you might see these empty slots, these empty bays inside of your computer, empty bays. And it's in these empty bays that you can actually plug on the new devices can be plugged into these empty bays in order to give the machine additional functionality. So for example, if you want to play PlayStation on your computer, you have to install the relevant video card inside your computer, which will have the connection at the back of the computer where you can plug in the controllers inside of the computer. So you have expansion slots inside of your computer. So like you have memory slot where you can expand the memory of the computer to give it more memory, so you can use it. You have DVD drive and CD drive and so on. The front of the machine, we can just pop out you can just push back, take out the plastic barrier in front of it and put in a new DVD drive or a Blu-ray drive. Or the back of the machine, you might see some silver slots at the back, silver plates where you can just unscrew them on the inside. You can connect a new device there. We also have what is called ports. And a port is a connection point inside at the back to the side, to the front of a device. So ports are where you can connect devices into your computers. So if we have to look at ports inside of our computers, if we look at ports inside of our computers, these are the connection points inside of the computer. And we will have different ports. We'll have different ports inside of the computer. We will have different ports inside of the computer, which is different connection point inside of the computer. So we have parallel port, you have serial port, you know, you have different kind of ports. Computer ports. We have different kind of ports inside of our computer. So I'm going to show you some of the ports inside of your computer. You have parallel port. You have your audio port, the video port. Audio is normally red and white is audio. Video is normally yellow. You have your headsets, microphone. You have ports for mini display. You have ports for mini DVD, mini VGA ports. You have USB ports inside of your computer. You have a lot of ports inside of your computer. So you can find several pictures of ports inside of your computer. So you have your PS2 ports, which is like you're looking like a keyboard. You have COM ports, otherwise called serial ports. You have VJs, normally a blue port. You have USB port. You have USB ports. You have your speakers, microphones, audio. You have where VGA cable plugs on to your VGA port. You have a DVI connector that can connect video production devices. You have HDMI. You have Ethernet or Ethernet port where you can connect to the network inside labs and at home. You will have these larger telephone jacks. And you have eSATA USB ports. So the whole idea of ports are just connection points at the back of your computer or the side of your computer. You will find a few ports to the front of your computer that you can make use of. So what you need to do is to look at the two things I sent you. One, you can look at the summary of computer specification. I sent you something called a summarization sheet, where based on the machines at the bottom, you will try to summarize them on the device, on the sheet that is given to you. So you can look at these three machines given to you. This is also from 2013, so it will need to be updated, or you can go and choose 3 machines online, summarize them with a table. So these were some specs. So the machines are there. They have i5 and i7 CPU. So the sticker will tell you something on the computer. It'll tell you what the operating system is, what's the processor. And I told you about the speed of the CPU. And then you have the monitor, 15.6-inch monitor, and it gives some detail about the monitor. And the monitor resolution is 1366 by 768, which means going across there's 1,366 pixels, picture elements, and going down there'll be 768 elements. And your memory, 8 gigabytes. The type of memory is a DDR3, and there are 2 DIMM memories inside the computer. The hard drive is measured in the gigabytes for 750 gigabytes. The revolution per minute was 5,400 in this computer. And then you can look at other information given to you. But this is a basic summary. So you get to look at this, and you can summarize this in the table at the top as a part of work to be done. When you're through with that, you can then look at the classwork that was sent to you by email, the classwork on specification, where you are given a list of, you're given a computer specification at the bottom, very, very detailed specification, and you are then going to answer these questions here for your own purpose. They can check your answers, by, going through it carefully. So what kind of memory is inside the computer? You go down and you find the memory information inside of the computer, so you can make decisions. So the memory of a computer is here. So okay, what kind of memory is inside of the computer? And then you ask another question like, what is the highest memory speed, largest memory? What's the monitor quality? So you just want to answer those questions on your own. So please finish up this topic, read it in your textbook. You don't find your textbook a lot, so you'll find it more on the internet to look at specification. You can look at your own computer one. If you go into your system tools, going from accessories, you will see the system tool, and you will see the summary of your system in system tools. And you can look at that to determine. And that is how you know if somebody is cheating you. When you buy a machine, and you check the memory of the computer, you check the specs of the computer, you can know if the hard drive is 1 terabyte hard drive. When you check the specs in the machine, it's giving you a 500 gigabyte hard drive. It means that what they advertise as a 1 terabyte hard drive, not what is inside of the computer. Because you cannot fool the operating system to detect what is inside of your computer in your specification screen. So, you can look at those 2 assignments, do the summary sheet. If you don't want to use those 3 given to you, you can find 3 newer computers on your own. And the idea is for you to look at specification and then make a determination of which one would you buy and why, based on comparing them. You can look at the speed, the capacity of the hard drive, the memory. You can look at the kind of CPU, the speed of the CPU. You can look at the features of the CPU. And sometimes when you go online and you're shopping for computers, they have what is called consumer feedback, where people who bought these items already will give a feedback on how they feel about the item and would they recommend you to buy the item, stuff like that, which is very much important in the North American market. There's a consumer feedback that they use in the reviewing specification of computer. So you have those 2 things to do. Look at the specification worksheet, look at the summarization. I will meet next week, Sunday afternoon between 12 and 3. We're going to tidy up the spreadsheet. I had sent out the videos on the vertical lookup cell references video. So you can go through those videos. We don't have much spreadsheet left to tie up, so we can probably use an hour and a half next week to tidy up the spreadsheet. We can at least use 45 minutes to start database management, because database is not really too hard to learn. We can start the database and then do a topic called data representation. So at least we can try and close out unit 1 in your syllabus, section 1 in your syllabus. So what you would have in section 1 to do is to just complete the number 9 topic here, which is the data representation. You have notes on the functions of the operating system in the PowerPoint presentation. You can complete the multitasking, multiprocessing, multiprogramming definitions on your own. We look at processing methods. You have these notes already on your Moodle as the processing methods notes. And this notes on user interface is already inside the PowerPoint I send you. And the notes for it is on your Moodle page. You will find the notes on so we can close out this section so that by January, what we're going to do is use 2 days in the Christmas holiday. As school officially goes on break, we will take 2 days to work the SBAs completely, work the 3 parts of the SBA, guide you. So you can submit those 3 parts, finish by December. So come January, all you have in January to do is just the programming part. We'll join the 5th form revision class for the programming. All right, that's a wrap for today.